Okay, Tachograph questions, test one, HGV Professional Gorey. After 4.5 hours of driving, how long a break must a driver take? That was very quick. Well done, people. What is the maximum speed? Oh, that's a bus on a national road. I know you're a truck group, but you should know this anyway. I know buses don't relate to you specifically, but as a professional driver, you should have a good understanding of all the different rules and regulations, okay? So on a national road, bus can do 80, same as yourselves in the trucks. But a bus on a dual carriageway or a motorway can do 100, where you only can do 90. What is the maximum number of hours a driver can drive in a given week? Lovely, 56. That's driving. After 4.5 hours of driving, how long a break must a driver take? Just had that question, it's just worded in a slightly different way, isn't it? How many consecutive, that means one after the other, days may a professional driver drive? What's the minimum weekly break, weekly rest?
45 hours.
That could be
24.
reduced to what?
24.
Yes. 24 is a day, yeah? 24 hours in a day, 7 days in a week. So if you must take a 24-hour weekly rest, that's 1 day. The most days you can drive is 6 days. Does that make sense? You start working these things out in your own head. Now, there is an exception to that course, which is an international tour bus driver. An international tour bus driver can work 12 days on the trot. But to be an international tour bus driver, you must spend the night in a different country. Like say, I'm living here in Cavan. I can drive a bus to Belfast, which is the UK, and back. But that doesn't make me an international tour bus driver because I haven't spent the night in that other country. You'll find as we go along, there's exceptions to everything. How often must an analog tachograph be tested? That's good. Guys, this is one that a lot of people seem to get hung up on for some reason. So do what you need to do, write it down 10 times or whatever. Digital, tested yearly, calibrated 2 years. Analog, tested 2 years, calibrated 6 years. Okay. When must a new tachograph chart be placed in a tachograph unit? At the start of each working day. It's the first thing you do. Or if you have a digital card, the first thing you do is put it into the unit. Okay. What information is recorded on a tachograph chart? Excellent. Distance and speed, and maybe from the distance and speed you could calculate the fuel consumption, but it's not really what it's used for. What time of day denote the beginning of a week for tachograph purposes? Stupid question, but it comes up. Just have a guess at that one, all right? Really stupid question, but it does come up in the CPC scenarios. Well done, you all got it right. What's the night shift for a truck driver? $12 till 4. 1 to 5 is for bus drivers. 12 to 4 is for truck drivers. Maximum hours you can work in a week. Work. Yeah? Does everyone understand the difference between driving and working? Yeah? Good. You drive for 4.5 hours, take a break, you come back for 4.5 hours, blah, blah, blah. That is driving. You come back to the yard and I say, okay, Jimmy, grab that broom and push it around there for an hour. You want to get paid for that, don't you? Because it's working. It's part of your shift. I tell you to mind the phones. That is working. I tell you to go around to the shop and get some sandwiches for the lads. That is working. Driving is driving. Working is everything. What can a driver do to stay alert on a long journey? Good. Now, that's not the advice thing I say anymore, is it? Wind the window down and take a break. Take a break, certainly, but not wind the window down, because they say now that's just white noise and can make you even more tired. The recommendation, if you're feeling tired now, is to pull over, take a caffeine drink, and a 20-minute break, and then wake up to loud music. That's the official advice. How long can a driver continue to drive without a driver card if their card has been lost, stolen? I didn't explain that to you earlier, but it's 15 days, okay? Okay. It's not like 2 days this week, 3 days next week, and maybe a day in a couple of weeks. It's 15 calendar days from where you lost it and you report it to the guards until you get it replaced.
When you
Okay?
get it replaced, do you have to input the data then manually?
No, you can't input data manually onto a card. You can input
All right.
data manually into the unit. So if I've lost my card, I will manually enter. There's two types of manual entry. One is literally a pen and paper. You can use the printout roll in the tachograph and write down, I started 8 a.m., done 15 minutes walk around, I've driven for 4.5 hours, took a 45-minute break at such a time. Okay, that is manually entry. Or if you put your card in, the first, and turn on the tachograph, turn on the engine, the first thing it asks you is what country you're in. You'll say Ireland, and then it will say, would you like to make a manual entry? Now you can make a manual entry. You can't overwrite anything. But say you were working to 8 o'clock and you take your card out the unit and you think you're going home, and I say, there's a broom, just sweep up for an hour. When you come in the next morning, you put your card in and you can go manual entry and add that hour's other work to your previous day's work on the tachograph unit. Does that make sense? So
Yep.
there's two types of manual entry. One is you write everything down, and the other one is you can actually put it into the tachograph unit.
The card is lost or stolen, you report it to the Gardaí and the RSA.
No, if you lose your card, you report to the Gardaí, yeah.
The Garda.
But then, yes, but then you send your card. Sorry, that's if you've lost your card, yeah. And and then the RSA, you contact them, and they will send you out a replacement. If you have a card that's faulty, you send it back to the RSA. They will charge you €45. But if it's faulty because of their fault, they'll refund the €45. But I don't know anyone that's ever been refunded the €45. Okay, so how long can you drive without a driver card is 15 days. If your tachograph unit itself breaks, you have 7 days to repair it. Okay? Which tachograph records must be retained by the driver. 28 days plus the day you work in the current day. Yep. Good. Was this tachograph symbol mean? We didn't go through these actually. That's a steering wheel. So what do you think it looks like? What do you think that represents, a steering wheel? Yes, it's like a pizza. Yes, it's a little bit like Greenpeace, but it's a steering wheel. Okay, why would someone think the steering wheel would represent rest? There are 4 symbols you need to worry about. One is a steering wheel, which is for driving. The vehicle will automatically default to driving as soon as it starts moving anyway. The second one is a little picture of a bed. Some people think it's a chair, but it's a bed. That is for rest, because you rest in a bed. Does that make sense? Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay, so the steering wheel is for driving, the bed is for rest, and then the third one is like cross hammers. A bit like the pirate symbol, you know, the crossed hammers. That means other work. So if you're not working, you're not resting, you're pushing a broom or answering phones or something else, doing the walk around, but you're not driving and you're not resting, that is other work. Okay? And the last one, which is a funny one, is a square with a line going from the top right-hand corner diagonally down to the bottom left-hand corner. That is a period of availability. So you have driving, other work, rest, and a period of availability. Now, a period of availability is a pre-booked time, but you're not actually working. So I would say to Owen, your shift starts at 9 o'clock, but Sammy is not going to be there with your truck until 10 o'clock. Okay?
Yeah.
So your shift starts at 9 o'clock, but you've got nothing to do. You're not working. You're certainly not resting. You're not driving. You're standing around waiting for your truck. So that's a period of availability. Say you go to the ferry at 8 o'clock because you have to pick up this at a certain time, that at a certain time, that at a certain time. You get to the ferry at 8 o'clock, but the ferry's not to be there till 10 o'clock. You're not resting. It's not a period of time you're free to dispose of as you wish, is it? You're stuck in the truck. You're not driving anywhere because the vehicle's not moving. It's turned off. You're waiting for the ferry, yeah? So you're not doing other work. So if you're not driving, you're not resting, you're not doing other work, and we knew you're going to be stuck there for 2 hours, that 2 hours would go down as a period of availability.
But does that affect any kind of like driving hours or anything, or?
No, you're not driving, are you?
Yeah, so it didn't
It's still
count in your
part of
work
your
hours.
shift, and you can't work more than 15 hours in a day shift. It's still part of your shift, but you're not
That's still
driving. No.
come in underneath the working hours, so yeah.
That's the tachograph.
Yeah. And it still falls in. So if you've got your 60-hour working week, like that is included in your shift time.
Yeah, exactly. That's part of your shift time, yeah. You start at 8 o'clock and you do other work for an hour or two, and then you drive, and then you rest. There's a period of availability, and then you drive again, and then you have a break. All of that time is your shift period, and that can't be more than 15 hours on a day shift or 10 on a night shift. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay, so those symbols again. The bed stands for rest, steering wheel stands for driving, the crossed hammers, 2 hammers crossing each other, is other work, and the weird one is the square with the line going from top right-hand corner to the bottom right-hand corner. Under EU driving hour regulations, the shortest break that a driver can take in a driving period is what? Oh, well done. That was very quick. Didn't have to think about that at all, because your 45-minute break can be split into 2 parts, can't it? So if you're driving along, Lisa, you drive for 2 hours, you hop out, and you take a 30-minute break, and then you get back in your vehicle and you drive for 2.5 hours. How long is your second break?
You can take a 30-minute break first.
You can. It has to be at least 15 minutes. But you're along the right lines there.
Yeah, well, if you've taken 30 minutes, then your 4.5 hours left driving starts.
You drove for 2 hours, you took a 30-minute break, you've driven for 2.5 hours now. After 4.5 hours, you must take at least 45 minutes, yeah?
Yeah.
So you've taken 30 minutes. How long is your second break?
45 minutes.
That would make an hour and 15 minutes of a break, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
No. Sammy?
Yeah.
You've been driving for 2 hours, you take a 30-minute break, you drive for another 2.5 hours. How long is your second break?
15.
You fell for my trap. Remember I said that 45-minute break can be split into 2 parts?
Yeah.
The first part must be at least 15 minutes. The second part must be at least how long?
30
30.
minutes.
Yes, so even though I've taken 30 minutes on my first break, I still need to take at least 30 minutes on my second break, don't I? Yeah?
Yeah.
And now, so now you've taken an hour's break, and now you're 15 minutes behind. Yeah?
Mm.
So your first break must be at least 15, and your second break must be at least 30. So for my first break, I thought I took 45 minutes, but I put the tachograph back to drive at 44 minutes. I haven't taken my 45 minutes, have I?
No.
So I still need to take a second break, don't I? Do you get that?
Yeah.
If you haven't taken the full 45 minutes, you need to take a second break, and your second break must be at least 30 minutes. So now I'm 29 minutes behind schedule. So just be careful when you're flicking from rest back onto driving that you've taken your full 45. Okay, I think that was a little bit confusing. So a 45-minute break can be split into two parts. First part must be at least 15 minutes. Second part must be at least 30 minutes, regardless of what the first break was. If the first break wasn't 45 minutes, you must take a second break for at least 30 minutes. You're working away from a vehicle and the driver's card is not inserted into the tachograph. What should you do? Yeah, you manually enter the times. A device that records hours of driving breaks and rest periods is a tachograph unit. On how many days of the working week may a driver drive for more than 9 hours? Excellent. You can extend your driving twice in the week by a maximum of 1 hour each time. If a driver drives 2 or more vehicles as part of the working day, what are the tachograph requirements? Use the same chart in both vehicles. None. Use the other driver's card. Manually enter. That would be highly illegal using the other driver's card, okay? Use the same chart in both vehicles, the same way you'd use your own digital card in 2 different vehicles. How long is a tachograph card valid for? If you're ever unsure, go for 5. Leon's rule of 5s. Because most of the cards are 5 years, and the Safety and Health at Work Act of 2005. On the spot fines of 500. If you hit a bridge, it's 5,000 if you report it, or 50,000 if you don't. All seems to be 5, 5, 5s, yeah? So if you're ever unsure, really unsure, just go for the 5. How long is a milkman's tachograph card valid for? This is a trick question. Because they're exempt. When I say a milkman, I'm talking about a tanker driver. And those great big tankers that go and collecting the milk all around the country.
Why are they exempt?
Because I think it's because we're an agricultural nation. So those milk trucks are exempt, and if you're taking animals to market, you're exempt. You don't even need an operator's license. If you're taking cattle to market, okay.
The beer lorries doesn't have it as well, yeah?
The beer lorries, I don't know. Do you get beer in lorries? You mean the ones with the crates of beer on? I don't think you get tankers full of beer, do you? That sounds like heaven. No, but the milk trucks, because they're quite long and they don't have surge plates, and they stop the liquid surging forwards and backwards, and they don't have baffles along. Baffles stop it surging from side to side. Okay, because they can't clean them out properly if they have surge plates and baffles. Now remember, you can tip a truck over at 14 miles an hour, 22 kilometers an hour. All that liquid goes to the, say you're on a roundabout, all the liquid goes to the left, and then it goes to the right, and then you turn left, or all that liquid's moving back to the left in phase with you turning. That can pull your truck over at 14 miles per hour. The most dangerous load is 50% full. That's why we have a 20-80 rule. Well, your truck, if If your truck doesn't have surge plates or baffles, you use the 20-80 rule, which it must be less than 20% full or more than 80% full. So it's either full or it's empty. It's not swishing around. Yeah? But milk lorries go around different farms collecting amounts of milk from all. So they're slowly getting fuller and fuller, aren't they? So I don't think they can really obey the 20-80 rule. But I'm not an expert on milk trucks, so. What rest do I need to take in one day? That's unprocessed milk when they're collecting from farms. I think once they process it, they need a tachograph. So I was told once. Do I need a tachograph if I use a minibus with between 10 and 17 seats to carry passengers for profit? Carrying passengers for profit. Okay, unless an exemption applies. Now, exemption there might be a school bus. Okay, you're carrying people for profit, but there's an exemption if you're driving within a 30-mile radius. You don't need a tachograph. Most people who watch these videos like and subscribe. I'd like to say thank you.